Hi everyone, seeing that it's 12 o'clock Pacific, let's get started, and thank you for joining this Geoscience BC lunchtime webinar. My name is Richard Truman. I'm the Vice President of External Relations here at Geoscience BC, and I'm joining you today from Vancouver in the traditional territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. Welcome. So good to see so many people logging in, such a diversity of people joining us today. We're here to talk about Geoscience BC membership, sponsorship, and to talk you through many of our recent and current minerals, energy, and water research projects. Before we get started though, just a couple of housekeeping notes. This session, up to but not including the Q&A and discussion, is being recorded, and it will be added to the Geoscience BC website and to our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. There is time for questions and for discussion after today's presentation, so if you do have questions, please pop them into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen, or if you want to chat with some of the other participants, feel free to do that in the chat as well. Since we launched Geoscience BC membership at the end of January this year, we have 50 new Geoscience BC members, be they corporate, individual, student, or associate members. If you're a member and you'd like to introduce yourself, let us know in the chat and we'll set it up during the Q&A session later on. Before we get into too much detail, we have a 90-second video to introduce Geoscience BC to anyone who is not too familiar with us. So we have Jenny Rue working in the background for us today. So Jenny, could you please play the video?
Geoscience BC's collaborative minerals, energy, and water earth science research projects bring together industry, government, academia, indigenous groups, and communities. Geoscience BC is an independent, not-for-profit society powered by more than 50 volunteers. It is part of an agile, made-in-BC coordinated approach to public earth science. Geoscience BC research supports jobs and attracts investment. Every dollar of minerals research results in more than $6 of mineral exploration investment. Stimulates innovation that makes BC more competitive. New techniques and methods that can be used in BC and exported. Minimizes emissions and environmental impacts. Open data about induced seismicity, emissions, and water. Encourages development of new cleaner energy sources. Understanding clean geothermal energy potential. Develops new relationships with indigenous groups. Building partnerships and understanding. Increases knowledge and technical capacity. 124 geoscience scholarships have been funded since 2007. Working together, we can attract investment, inform sound decisions, and catalyze a cleaner, lower carbon future for all British Columbians.
Great, thank you, Jenny. So to get us started, I'm going to pass you over to our President and CEO, Gavin Derome, and to board member Lana Eagle to provide an update on recent Geoscience BC developments. Gavin and Lana, if you could turn your microphones and your cameras on, please, and over to you.
Okay, very good. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this update about some of our latest research projects, membership, and sponsorship opportunities. I am Gavin Derome, the President and CEO of Geoscience BC. And I'm speaking to you today from the city of Vancouver on the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I also wish to acknowledge that a lot of our projects do take place throughout the province on a diverse number of Indigenous territories. At Geoscience BC, we believe the transition to net zero emissions by 2050 and the increase in demand for natural resources that it brings means that we must work together to leverage and optimize our time, our energy, and our funding. Demand for public geoscience is changing because today's challenges, like finding critical metals and minerals to supply growing electrical needs, reducing emissions, and identifying where to store carbon, supporting hydrogen development, locating economic geothermal energy sources, and understanding and mitigating geohazards can only be met if we work together. Collaboration, as you know, and sharing knowledge have always been at the heart of Geoscience BC. And now we've gone a step further. Just over 2 months ago, as Richard mentioned, a recommendation of Geoscience BC's Funding Options Task Force, we launched a membership and sponsorship opportunity. As some of you may know, our Funding Options Task Force is chaired by Lana Eagle. For those that have yet to meet her, Lana is a member of the Whitecap Dakota First Nation in Saskatchewan, and she's a sought-after speaker on Indigenous engagement and reconciliation in Canada and on diversity and inclusion. Lana serves as a volunteer director on the board of Geoscience BC, but also as a director at the Association for Mineral Exploration and the Prospector and Developers Association of Canada. Before I ask Lana to elaborate on why Geoscience BC has established new membership and sponsorship opportunities, I wish to thank everyone who has already signed up or is thinking about signing up as a member. Your active involvement and participation is much appreciated. So over to you, Lana.
Hi, everyone. I hope my microphone is turned on. I always forget to turn my microphone on. First of all, I'd just like to thank Gavin for your opening comments and for giving me time to provide remarks to everyone who was on the webinar. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge that I am calling in today from the Campbell River, which the Weewekai and the Weewekan people. It's my honor and privilege to live here and work here, even though I've been self-isolating for the past couple of years. I'm looking forward to transitioning back into a time when we can all get together again. I'd like to thank everyone who is supporting the work of Geoscience BC. As a not-for-profit society, Geoscience BC generates independent, public geoscience research and data about British Columbia's minerals, energy, and water resources. Our new membership and sponsorship opportunities are designed to bring together industry, academia, communities, Indigenous groups, and governments. As a volunteer director, I believe that this is very important and that establishing a membership and sponsorship model is the right path for Geoscience BC. The issues our research addresses and the collaborative approach that we take fit well with this direction. In a nutshell, we believe our new membership and sponsorship opportunities will do at least 4 things. 1, make it easier for a wider diversity of people to provide more input on and benefit from Geoscience BC research. 2, help achieve shared goals and increase the impact of Geoscience BC research. 3, leverage investments in Geoscience BC's public earth science research and provide flexible yet stable long-term funding mechanisms that enhances independence. And 4, demonstrate and further build support for Geoscience BC's independent public earth science research. In closing, I wish to thank you for your support and encourage you to spread the word about our new membership and sponsorship opportunities. And a reminder, our diversity is our strength, and we are all stronger when we work together. Back to you, Gavin.
Thank you, Lana. As you just heard, Geoscience BC membership opportunities make it easy for a wide range of people to support, provide input, network, and stay up to date on Geoscience BC research projects. As you can see on the next slide and in our materials, we have established 4 membership categories: corporate, individual, student, and associate. These categories provide options to suit industry, academia, communities, Indigenous groups, associations, and governments. The easiest way to join Geoscience BC is to fill out our membership application online and pay by credit card, or by scanning the QR code that you have in front of you. You can also fill out a hard copy of the application form and pay by check or electronic funds transfer. Now on to the next slide, you will see 2 examples of sponsorships. One example is about our scholarships, while the other is a research example. First, to scholarships. Up to 10 scholarships are awarded by Geoscience BC each year to master's or PhD students who are focused on minerals, energy, or water earth science in British Columbia. Since 2007, Geoscience BC has awarded scholarships to 134 students. I believe 1 or 2 are actually on this webinar today, and each scholarship is worth $5,000. Please note that the 2022 scholarship program is now open for students to apply and that we are seeking sponsors. We believe sponsoring the Geoscience BC scholarship program is a high-profile way to build lasting capacity, show your support for the next generation of geoscientists, and contribute to your legacy. Do let us know, please, if this type of sponsorship is of interest to you. The other example shown on the slide is a research sponsorship. The project is known as the Northeastern BC Lithium Brine Sampling Program, and sponsors for this project include Lithium Bank, Northern Development Initiative Trust, and Geoscience BC. As well, we have in-kind support provided by NRCan's Geological Survey of Canada. This type of sponsorship creates new opportunities for the sponsors. For instance, to provide direct input on research priorities, objectives, and deliverables, as well as to benefit from the research data and the findings. And importantly, to align with our overall mission, which is to advance knowledge, inform responsible development, encourage investment, and stimulate innovation. Now I'll hand it back over to Richard Truman, who will be introducing our geologists, Krista Pellet and Randy Hughes, to take you through a number of project updates. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Lana. Lana, I know you have to leave in a few moments, so thank you for everything that you do and for joining us today. So we'll move on now to talk about recent and ongoing Geoscience BC minerals, energy and water projects. First, you'll hear from our Vice President of Minerals, Krista Pellet, for about 10 minutes before we hand over to our Manager of Energy and Water Projects, Randy Hughes. But as you listen to Krista and Randy, I have a request. So think about how, as a Geoscience BC member or perhaps as a sponsor, you can relate to each project. So how can it help you in your work? How else, or who else, sorry, would appreciate knowing about this research? Does it connect with other research that you've been following? Is there a next step that will perhaps boost the utility or the value of a piece of research? Or maybe a project inspires ideas for a similar or perhaps unrelated research project in the future. These questions, they're part of the reason for launching Geoscience BC membership, creating new ways for industry, for governments, for academia, communities, Indigenous groups, and others to discuss and to influence our research. We'll take your ideas to our volunteers, so to our technical advisory committees and to our board, so that Geoscience BC can continue to support the most relevant and needed research. But with that out of the way, on with the show. So I'll pass you over to Krista to talk about some of Geoscience BC's minerals research. Krista, over to you.
Thanks, Richard, for that introduction. And thank you to all of our new members for joining in today. As Richard mentioned, I'm Krista Pellet, VP of Minerals at Geoscience BC, and I'm speaking to you today from the traditional territory of the Tecumseh-Secwepemc. And I should highlight that I'm also supported on the mineral side by Brady Clift, who's our Manager of Minerals, who will join us at the end of this session for any questions that you might have. Minerals geoscience has been a cornerstone of Geoscience BC's work since we were created in 2005, and I'm pleased to be able to highlight some of the current and recently completed research that Geoscience BC has supported. For those of you who have a mineral exploration focus, much of this will be pretty familiar, but I will be teasing a few reports that will be made public over the next few months. And for those of you who might be a little less familiar with our minerals research, hopefully this will give you a good idea of the types of projects we've supported to date and what kinds of projects we could lead or support in the future. Next slide, please. The first project I'm going to tell you a bit about is Cigar, our Central Interior Copper Gold Research Program. This project focuses on the Quesnel terrain in central BC, roughly between Williams Lake in the south and Mackenzie in the north. The area has long been a focal point for Geoscience BC research, with known copper gold deposits in the north and south of the project area, but with a gap in the Prince George area where the bedrock is extensionally covered by glacially deposited sediments. Way back in 2007, Geoscience BC created our first major research initiative, the QUEST project, which combined regional geophysical surveys and regional geochemical new sampling and reanalysis programs to produce new public geoscience data sets that could be used to support exploration, as well as to improve the bedrock mapping in the area. Since then, many Geoscience BC projects have continued to focus on central BC. In 2019, Geoscience BC's Minerals Technical Advisory Committee, or TAC, recommended that there was still much more work to be done to improve our understanding of the central BC area and to help focus exploration and investment in support and more informed natural resources decisions. The Cigar project was funded with an initial 2 projects, one looking at the superficial geology of the region and one using the existing geophysical data to produce new bedrock interpretations. As with all of our projects, First Nations, community, and mineral sector planning and engagement was key, and a big thank you to Richard for leading that aspect on all of our projects. Next slide, please. The superficial exploration project of Cigar has been led by Dave Sacco at Palmer and Wayne Jackman at Noble Exploration Services. The project is generating new 1 to 50,000 scale superficial geology, till sampling suitability, and drift thickness map sets for parts of the Cigar project area. The superficial studies were determined based on their, the superficial study areas were determined based on their prospective geology, avoidance of private land, and applicability of till sampling. New till samples were collected either through traditional methods or last summer by trialing a hand-portable, ultra-lightweight customized drill. In addition, previously collected till samples that were stored by the Geological Survey of Canada in Ottawa are being reanalyzed. Right now, about half the superficial mapping is already available on our website. This is in map sheets 93J, K, and O, and the other half of the work will be released next week. This is in map sheets 93A and G. Some of the till reanalysis work has been released already, and more till geochemistry will be released later this year. This project will be the focus of a conference talk next week in Kamloops. So if you're planning on attending the conference, and you really should, as it's a fantastic conference each and every year, make sure that you're in the audience bright and early Wednesday morning. Next slide, please. The other half of the Cigar program was led by Dr. Diane Mitchinson at the Mineral Deposit Research Unit in UBC. Diane and her colleagues took existing publicly available geophysical data, including the airborne electromagnetic and gravity surveys that Geoscience BC had supported through the Quest project, as well as available outcrop drilling and groundwater data, to build an updated overburden thickness model for the central Quesnel terrain. They demonstrated that there's high variability in the overburden thickness in this region, but that there are numerous windows where bedrock is more likely accessible and therefore drilling could be much less expensive. Next slide. Thanks. Diane and her team then used the existing public geophysical data to identify potential porphyry deposit hosts or sources of intrusive rock in the central Quesnel terrain based on geophysical patterns associated with already known copper-gold porphyry deposits across the Quesnel terrain. Magnetic and gravity inversions were completed for each target. Full results from this project were published in January as Geoscience BC Report 2022-07 and were the focus of a roundup talk, and then later a focus of a fantastic ore deposits hub talk, both given by Diane. I know for sure that the ore deposits hub talk, if you are a subscriber, is available online. So I encourage you to check it out. Next slide. While many of Geoscience BC's biggest projects have been focused on regional surveys, we've also supported a number of projects at universities, both in and outside of Canada, and with consultants looking to support the development of new tools or exploration methods that in turn support the exploration for BC's critical metals and minerals. A fantastic recent example of this was a project led by Dr. Farhad Bouzari at MDRU, who looked to develop porphyry vectoring techniques in advanced argillic rocks with a focus on northern BC. During his project, Farhad developed techniques to map mineralization footprints in advanced argillic rocks, both vertically and laterally, and used his observations to develop a tool set that can support rapid and cost-effective mineral exploration. The project results were also published in January, and similar to other work Farhad has done on joint Geoscience BC MDRU projects looking at vectoring towards mineralization, I'm sure the results are already being considered by the exploration industry. Next slide, please. Geoscience BC projects also work with some of BC's fantastic geological consulting teams. One project that we've been supporting over the last 5 years is the Georeferencing and Capture of NI 43-101 reports. Previously, these reports have been freely available through Cigar, but not searchable by location or geological information. Purple Rock, led by Nicole Barlow, has spearheaded a project to extract the location and mineral inventory information from the reports that pertain to BC, and to set up a database so that the reports can be searched and location information viewed in both Geoscience BC's Earth Science Viewer and the BC Geological Survey's MapPlace. Once a relevant report is identified, information is provided so that the user can then easily find the relevant report on CDAR. MinFile is also being updated to capture this new information. An initial phase of this project was completed last year, and soon we'll be releasing an update to include NI 43-101 reports from 2019 to 2021. Next slide, please. Another new tool that Geoscience BC has supported the development of is looking at soil gas detection in bedrock mineralization. Measuring soil gas over faults to detect buried mineralization is a technique that has been employed elsewhere, but Dave Sacco at Palmer and Dr. Ray Lett wanted to try the method in BC, where much of our prospective geology in the interior is obscured by glacial sediments. Their initial report detailed the tests of the system at Mouse Mountain and Chico Lake, and Centerra Gold was intrigued enough by the results that they co-sponsored further testing at Mount Milligan last year. Their initial report is available through Geoscience BC's website, and the report on work undertaken at Mount Milligan will be released in the next month or so. Next slide, please. Finally, one of the newer spaces Geoscience BC is looking to support is in carbon capture and storage, or CCS. Randy Hughes, our manager of energy and water, will tell you more about this in his talk. But on the mineral side, we've been pleased to be a part of Dr. Greg Dipple's work on the carbon mineralization potential of British Columbia. Dr. Dipple, who is a part of the Bradshaw Research Initiative for Minerals and Mining, or BRIM, at UBC, leads a broad collaboration that includes universities, Natural Resource Canada's Clean Growth Program, and the BC Geological Survey, with industry participating on the overall project as well. Geoscience BC has focused on supporting aspects of the program relevant to British Columbia, focusing on the evaluating the abundance, location, shape, and aerial extent of serpentinized ultramafic rocks in BC, as these rocks, both in situ and ex situ, have the potential to naturally absorb and provide long-term storage of carbon dioxide. Next slide. Is this exciting research that I think is really going to provide some critical knowledge to guide decisions by Canadian industry, communities, First Nations, and governments in the near future. Initial project results are available on Geoscience BC's website, and stay tuned as a final report for the project and an atlas focusing on the potential in British Columbia will be published soon. And with that, I will turn it back over to Rich.
Great, thank you, Krista. So much information squeezed into so little time, thank you. So just a reminder that we do have time for questions and discussion after our next presentation. We're happy to listen to future suggestions too, and if we run out of time today, happy to set up separate discussions after today as well. So now the screen is turned green, which means we're going to be talking about energy and water, so over to Randy Hughes, our manager of energy and water. So winging our way over the Rockies to Calgary, and over to you, Randy.
Thanks, Richard. So as Richard indicated, my name is Randy Hughes. I'm the manager of energy and water for Geoscience BC. And I'm speaking to you from Calgary. In the spirit of reconciliation, reciprocity, and truth, we honor the ancestors and acknowledge the Treaty 7 territory, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearpaw, and Wesley First Nations. We recognize this is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, region number 3. All right, I'm going to start with our, if we can go to the next slide, please. I'm going to start with our Northeast BC Lithium Formation Water Database project. And this project is important because currently there's a lack of publicly available subsurface lithium data in British Columbia. And so this project is going to collect oil field produced water to generate a first of its kind database and atlas of Northeast BC lithium concentration and favorability maps from 10+ formations. The results will help guide industry and government decisions and critical metals development for British Columbia. Collaboration between Geoscience BC, Canadian Discovery, Lithium Bank, Northern Development, and Natural Resources Canada, Geological Survey of Canada is important as part of this project. We have a funding model that collaboratively leverages investment into key research projects. And for this project, it resulted in over a 4-fold increase from our initial project funding. The project end date is scheduled for June of 2023. And there are opportunities for follow-up research, including additional mapping, development economics, and lithium extraction technology. Next slide, please. All right. I'm going to speak a little bit about some of our induced seismicity studies. So Northeast BC Seismic Monitoring and Research Consortium. So this project involves the operation and data sharing from an array of 9 seismic stations in Northeast BC. To improve information on seismic activity. The consortium includes Geoscience BC, BC Oil and Gas Commission, BC Oil and Gas Research and Innovation Society, and Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers in partnership with Natural Resources Canada. The mandate of the project is to collect, analyze, interpret, and share seismic data, including generation of an annual seismicity report. The current consortium MOU expires September of 2023, but planning is already underway to extend the MOU. Another project that we're just completing, comprehensive investigation of injection-induced earthquakes in Northeast BC. So this project involves the incorporation of a University of McGill dense array into the Kiskatna Seismic Monitoring and Mitigation Area Region Array, generating detailed seismic catalogs, delineating the source character and factors controlling induced seismicity. And we're nearing the end of this project, and we expect a final report to be completed spring of this year. Next slide, please. Thank you. So next, emissions mapping and mitigation. So a couple of projects here, BC Natural Gas Atlas. So this is a comprehensive catalog of BC natural gas molecular and isotopic properties. You can go to www.bcnga.ca website for the database, data filtering, cross plots, and mapping abilities. We're looking for a long-term home for the database, so there's an opportunity for a partnership in this regard. Next project, Greenhouse Gas Map project, collaboration with Geoscience BC, Geochemical Analytics Services, Indro Robotics, and NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The project involves the assembling and testing of drone-mounted cutting-edge emissions measurement equipment. Several test flights were flown as part of this project. And the next phase expected to do additional research and/or commercial deployment projects. Next slide, please. All right. So geothermal and carbon capture and storage initiative. So we've got Garibaldi Geothermal Volcanic Belt Assessment. So we've completed phase 1. Phase 2 is underway of a GSC-led mapping of geothermal resource potential of the Garibaldi volcanic area, which is considered Canada's best geothermal resource area. The goal is to produce a new 3D model of subsurface heat, as well as to identify reservoirs with the highest potential for hot fluid production capability. When this project ends, so we've got potential for a phase 3, and that would commence in the summer of 2023 as well. Northeast BC, Geological Carbon Capture and Storage Assessment. So we're really excited about this project. It's a brand new project. There's going to be an announcement by Geoscience BC soon on this. It's a desktop study to identify, assess, and catalog in an atlas format the most favorable subsurface carbon capture and storage sites in Northeast BC. It has an April 2023 completion date with potential for follow-up carbon capture and storage and related projects. And this project will also provide critical information to enable the nascent low-carbon hydrogen industry in British Columbia. Next slide, please. And I'll just end with on the water side. So we have a pilot collaborative water monitoring program, Northeast BC. So this pilot project involves a collaboration of 3 separate Geoscience BC water projects and the Treaty 8 First Nations in Northeast BC to better understand the water resources of that region. The project has installed hydrometric and climate stations, and we just recently finished drilling in placement of 4 groundwater monitoring wells. Training is ongoing for First Nation members on installation, maintenance, and data gathering from various water measuring equipment. And a key part of this project is the incorporation of Indigenous knowledge of water into the project. There are ongoing meetings with First Nations in the area, and we have an engagement strategy in place to help add that Indigenous knowledge to the project data. That pilot project completion date is scheduled for March of 2023. And again, with several of our other projects, there's opportunities to continue water research with the existing project equipment that's in place there. So that's a whirlwind through the energy and water projects. I'll be happy to answer any questions once we get into the Q&A session. So thanks very much, everyone.